guys, Preacher 357 here. I'm out here on the range today with a gun that I've been thinking about doing for a long time and just never picked one up until now. And that is the Ruger Max-9. Now this is Ruger's answer to the P365 and all of those small, higher capacity 9mm that have come out on the market over the last few years following the release of the Sig P365. And how does it fare against the competition? I don't hear a lot about this gun. It doesn't seem to have a lot of fanfare. So I really don't know, how well people like this gun or don't like this gun. I'm not sure how well it sells. I rarely even see it in the local gun shop. I mean, I see it at like Academy and some of the big box stores, but the local gun shops don't seem to carry this very often. And that makes me think there's not a lot of people asking for it. And maybe it's just overlooked. Maybe it's underappreciated. Now, obviously, it looks a lot like the other offerings that Ruger has on the market right now, whether it be the LCP Max, LCP 2s, those different guns that they've got, or the Security 380, the Security 9. It looks a lot like those guns. It has that same styling. But unlike the LCPs and the Securities, this one is a striker-fired gun. Those other ones are hammer-fired. But this one is a striker-fired gun. So it's more like the competition in that regard. And it's very close in size to the other ones. I compared it to my P365 and it's just slightly bigger. Just slightly, not by a lot, just slightly. And comparing it to my Shield Plus, it's just slightly smaller than the Shield Plus, it seems. So it just fits right in that range, which is a good place to be, I think, in the market. So there are some things about it that I do like. It does have a good sights on it. It's easy to pick up the sights on it, easy to see. It's got a fiber optic front there. I don't believe it's a night sight though. I could be wrong. I'll check that out, but I don't think it is. I think it's just a fiber optic. But the thing about the Rugers generally in the market now is that they come in at a fairly low price. I mean, when I think about Ruger, I think about them being a competition to Smith & Wesson, especially since I'm a revolver guy. I think about that. But really, when you look in the market, they're much more priced to be competition with, some of your import guns, like your Taurus or your Canics. That's really more price point wise where they come in. So, I guess that's where Ruger sees its place in the semi-automatic market, which I don't know if I like that. I kind of wish they were a little higher end in some ways. I wish they would put a little bit more refinement into some of their guns. For example, this gun here has a lot of slop in the tolerances. I mean, you can hear it when I shake it. It's because the slide is shaking on the frame. It's not a very tight fit at all, which for a polymer frame gun is not the end of the world. It's just kind of a pet peeve. I don't like that. If I were to compare that to my Sig P365 here, nothing. Or my Shield Plus, nothing. So, pet peeve of mine. I don't know if it makes a difference. Does it hurt the accuracy a little? Maybe. I mean, normally, a gun even such as this is probably going to be more accurate than the shooter most of the time for a handgun. So I don't know if it's really going to make a difference. Now, obviously, the Rugers, they do have a safety on them right here. Same as a lot of the offerings. And it doesn't really bother me. It's very small, very positive. I don't think you're going to accidentally engage it. But it's not too hard to swipe off if you're one who wants to use the safety. I'm not going to use it. And I just assume it not be there myself, but it's not that big a deal. One thing I have found about this gun that I do not like is the trigger. And I don't mean the trigger pull, I mean the trigger itself with this safety on it. And I've not really liked a lot of the way the Ruger triggers have been on their semi-autos lately. But this one in particular, I find that I don't disengage the trigger safety very well. You have to really be in front of it. And if you catch the trigger safety even on the side a little bit, it won't disengage. And maybe nobody else in the entire world has that problem with this gun. But the way that I do with my finger, using the pad, which I like to use, I don't like to stick my finger all the way through it. I like to use just the pad of my finger, and I've got to really wrap it around to the front. Because if you don't, sometimes you just can't pull that trigger. And I'd be afraid, if I were carrying this gun and I absolutely had to use it, that in the heat of the moment, I wouldn't get a very good grip on that trigger safety, and it wouldn't disengage. Now, if you're really somebody who's safety minded, well, it works really well. I mean, it really works well. It keeps that trigger from being pulled. I couldn't pull that rascal right now if I wanted to, and you can see my finger was on the trigger safety itself. It just didn't disengage. So I don't really like the way that's designed. You have to be very careful that you hit that safety first, right at the right spot for it to disengage. And you know, like I said, I may be the only person in the entire world that's ever had that problem with this gun. But it's a problem I have. So could I train myself out of it? Maybe. Maybe. Just working with this gun enough, I would train myself not to ever do that. But to be perfectly honest, since it's the only gun I really seem to have that trouble with, why would I bother to train away something that's not a problem with any other gun? So that's probably going to be a deal killer for me there. But that doesn't mean it's a bad gun. It just means may not be right for me. But I'm going to do a little bit of shooting with it today, and it shoots fairly well. The recoil's not too bad with it to be such a small gun, and it's fairly accurate, it seems. At least I'm fairly accurate with it. And I want to compare it to the Shield Plus and the Sig P365 as well, just to see how it stacks up in my mind, you know, shooting beside them. Now, my Shield Plus is in 30 Super Carry. Not much difference there, though. I'm shooting the 115 grain ammo, which is the same grain as what I'm shooting out of the 9mm, so it's probably not going to be a whole lot of difference, and I'm not going to, you know, worry too much if that Shield has a little less felt recoil because I'm shooting 30 Super Carry or something. Just kind of want to get a feel of the ergonomics and compare them side by side, and I haven't done that yet. I actually haven't shot them back to back to back yet, so I'm not sure how it's going to stack up. I may decide that this shoots so much better than the other two after I shoot them all side by side. I don't know, but we got to get over here and do some shooting first. So before we do that, if we would check out the description, I've got a link there for Weatherbeard Supply Company. They do beard care products and soaps and some other things, and I've got a link there where you can click on the link, go to their site, order. I think you get a discount though if you use my link, and then I'll get a percentage of the proceeds to help me buy guns and ammo. There's also a link there for the GOA, the Gun Owners of America, where you can get in the fight on the national level for our gun rights, because we've done a lot of good work. We've got a lot of our rights back that were taken away at one time, but we're still not as free as we should be according to our Constitution. So you can check that out, or if you live in the state of Tennessee like I do, this wonderful state we live in, there's a link there for the Tennessee Firearms Association, where we're fighting hand in hand with the Gun Owners of America as well to secure the rights here in this state. So if you would check out those links there, click on those if you would, and I don't get any kickbacks from GOA or TFA. I support them, they don't support me. So let's get over here and do a little bit of shooting. Hey guys, sorry to have to stop the video, but I completely forgot about something that I really wanted to talk about that I think is important with regard to the Max-9, and that is the way it breaks down. And so I thought I would just do a little tabletop here at the cleaning table and show you what's different about the Max-9. Now, if you're familiar with Ruger semi-autos, the modern ones, the new ones, they pretty much have a cross pin that you pop out. This one, you just pull it back a little bit, and you can take something and pop it out and get it where it's supposed to be here. Well, if you get it back where it's supposed to be, you can do it. And it just pops out. And then you are able to remove the slide. Same with the LCP2 here. This may be a little bit big here. There it goes. Just pop it out and the slide comes right off. And that's the way most of your modern polymer frame Rugers are breaking down. Well, this one is sort of like that, but not exactly. And to be honest, when I got this gun, I wasn't sure how to break it down. I was going to clean it first. I got to looking at it, and it looked different. It had this tab here. I thought, well, maybe the tab has something to do with it, but I pop it down, and you can see the pin in there. And you can see this slot in the slide here. It makes you think you need to line it up, but there's no way to grab it. So I'm like, well, maybe you have to push it out. But when I tried initially, it didn't seem like it was wanting to push out. So I ended up having to read the instruction manual, and you know how much I hate to do that. I feel a little bit emasculated. You know, Ruger has hurt my ego, and I feel like less of a man now because I had to read the instruction manual to figure out exactly how you do this. But just the same, you have to push it back a little ways, and then when you get it to the right spot, the cross pin will pop out. And this is not a system that I am very fond of. As you can see, there it is, it's popped out, now the slide comes off. And otherwise, it's a pretty normal striker fired gun. Obviously, which is different than these. These are the hammer fired. I think I mentioned that in the video. These are hammer fired. Both of this, the Security 380 and the LCP2 here are hammer fired, whereas this is actually a striker fired. But I don't like having these pins that come out, especially one like this. These are a little bit bigger, a little bit easier maybe to keep track of. Well, that's not a lot bigger, but at least it has a little place you can grab hold of it. I just don't particularly care for that in a modern gun. Now, obviously, 1911s, you have to pull a cross pin out, but that's a design that's over 100 years old, and I don't mind doing that on a gun that old. It's got a lot of history to it, and I just love 1911s anyway. But it's not a modern gun the way these are. And that's one of the benefits of modern designs, is that they're much simpler in the way they're supposed to break down and maintain and what have you. And this one, even though I would say it's simpler than a 1911, it's still a lot more complicated than most of the competition out there. I mean, you know, a Glock, an M&P, you know, most of these polymer frame guns you can break down in 5 seconds. I mean, it doesn't take any time at all to rip a slide off of them. And this is not as easy. And even with these, I used a screwdriver, but you can pretty well, you know, grab it with your fingernails and pop that cross pin out. This is going to require a tool to push through there, some sort of punch, or in this case, a little Allen wrench. And I don't like having to have another tool just to break it down. Now, I don't think I'm going to be out in the field having to break this gun down. You know, I don't think it's a combat weapon in that sense. It's a self-defense gun. And generally speaking, you're only going to break it down when you know, bring it into the shop here to clean it after, you know, shooting it or after, you know, carrying it for so long. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I just don't like it. And I don't understand why Ruger doesn't simplify that. But anyway, I thought I would just mention that and show you the difference between this and the rest of the Rugers, and the difference between this and all the other guns pretty much in its class on the market. That it's not as easy to break down, and it's kind of a pain. But, you know, maybe it's not a deal breaker for you. I don't know if it would be a deal breaker for me either. But it is annoying. So there you go, guys. Let's get back out there and do some shooting. All right, guys, I'm going to start out with the 12 round magazine. It comes with a 12 round as well as a 10 round magazine. The 10 round's the flush fit, which is the same as what you can get with a Sig P365, though I don't think the Sig comes with a 12 round. I think you have to buy the 12 round separately for it. Of course, you know, there's some larger offerings now in the P365 line that you can get even larger magazine capacity, but pretty much the same standard capacity as the Sig. The Shield in 9mm comes with a 10 round flush fit as well, but its extended mag has 13 in it, so one more in the extended round, but you can see it's comparable to what you get with those offerings. Let's go over here and do a little bit of shooting here. See if I can hit anything with this gun. It seemed to be shooting fairly well on. I didn't have to adjust the sights at all. Plates. But that's nothing unusual. A little short barrel gun like this is, you know, not the best for shooting, you know, 3-inch plates, 2 or 4-inch plates, or 20-something yards. Well, I got it that time. Yeah, I may not get that little one. Just hit the cowboy. Or miss on the last shot, but that was all my fault because my sights were not lined up. I jumped the gun on pulling the trigger a little bit. And when you do that, and your sights are not on your target, you will miss every single time. That's just a piece of advice there. If you didn't know that already, now you do. I'll load them up again here. Go. Shoot a little bit at the cowboy and the 1-35, and then maybe lob a few out there at distance just to see how it does out there. And then I'm going to do that comparison with the other two guns. I mean, it feels pretty good in the hand. I will say that. It doesn't feel bad in the hand at all. I didn't have any issues there with the trigger not pulling that time, so that's good. All right. Let's try the cowboy and the 1-35 again. Not sure. Hit it once high and once low. And I was trying to find the range out there, but I didn't exactly find it. Let's go this 135 just another time or two. There we go. All right, it looks like it may be going just a little bit to the right, just a hair. Let's go out here to see if I can get this one at 100. Well, I don't know where they're going. I can't see out there. There we go. I know the other day when I was first shooting it, because I didn't do a out of the box review this time, I decided I would give the Ruger a little bit of a chance. I'd clean and lube it first and do a little bit of shooting with it ahead of time, because my experience with Ruger semi-autos has been kind of hit and miss. I've had some issues, so I wanted to give it every chance first before I just brought it out here and started shooting it, and then it ended up having some issues, and it just made a disaster out of the video. So let's try this one at 80 yards. I actually did hit them the other day, I think. And there it is. Last round too. I mean, I can't complain about that. I mean, how can you complain about that? It is accurate enough. Now, if you were to get somebody who's a really great shooter out here, he might be able to tell the difference between the accuracy of this one and some other guns, and he might be able to tell you it's, you know, not quite as inherently accurate. But as I said, I think it's probably more accurate than I am. It seems to be able to do its job fairly well. And the fact that I couldn't hit a 3-inch plate at a little over 20 yards, I don't think is anything against this gun at all. If anything, it's just something against me. But we're gonna compare them now. I've got the flush fit magazines here all loaded up for these 3 guns. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot 5 rounds from the Ruger, and then I'll shoot 5 rounds from the Smith & Wesson, then 5 rounds from the Ruger again, then 5 rounds from the P365, and maybe that'll give me an idea of how they stack up in my mind. So we're just gonna shoot the cowboy here. 5 rounds from the Ruger. I missed on the last one, but that's all right. All right, not bad. Let's try the Smith & Wesson. I can go ahead and tell you, putting the Smith & Wesson in my hand, it is definitely more ergonomic. It feels better in my hand. Maybe that's just a personal preference, obviously, and I've shot a lot of Smith & Wessons over the years, but it really does feel good in my hand. And it feels slimmer, though, at the same time, but still good. Let's try the Smith & Wesson. See if I can hit anything with it at all. Well, I don't think I charged the weapon. That would explain it. All right, here we go. I missed on the last round with that one too, so pretty much par for the course there. A little bit less recoil, but that's because it's 30 Super Carry. But yeah, to me, the Smith is more ergonomic. Yeah. I don't know where I was going there. Let's try the P365 now. Now, obviously, this is not a stock P365 because I've got the Wilson Combat grip frame on it. And that makes a difference. It really does to me. All right, let's try, let's see. The Sig is definitely a little more snappy, I think, than the Ruger. But I'm gonna be honest, I think the Ruger stacks up very well. It shoots very well compared to the other two. I thought it might be a bigger difference than it was. I think the Smith & Wesson, as I said, was more ergonomic, but I don't really think it shot any better. The Sig feels like a smaller gun. Even though the dimensions don't seem to be that much difference when you look at it, it feels like a much smaller gun, but it still shoots fairly well. And I don't know, but it has more recoil. The trigger pull on this is not the greatest, though I can still shoot it well. I mean, considering the price tag on the Ruger compared to the other two, I mean, you're looking at $100+ at least between it and the Smith & Wesson, probably even more than that, and probably $200 between it and the Sig. I don't know that the Smith & Wesson and the Sig Sauer really feel like they're worth that much more money than the Ruger, just to be perfectly honest. And I'm kind of surprised I'm saying that, because I really didn't think I was going to like the Ruger very much. But it did shoot fairly well. I can't deny that. I can't deny that it feels pretty good in the hand, and it shoots pretty well for what it is, for the price tag it has. So I mean, if you're considering buying a small gun for carry, you know, maybe you ought to look at this one. You know, look at a lot of reviews online, not just mine, because all of us have just one sample that we're going with. Maybe there's issues that I'm not having, other people are having, but just in my opinion right now, you know, if you're not wanting to spend the extra money on those guns, I don't know why you would need to. Let's shoot one more magazine of the Ruger. You know, for self-defense, this is going to do the job. But there it is. I just went to pull the trigger that time and it didn't go. That's really my only hang-up with this gun, other than that pet peeve I have about it shaking on the frame. But I mean, but what, you know, for the price point, you know, you kind of understand that too. I kind of wish Ruger had like a performance center edition that they could do. You know, Smith & Wesson will come out with a shield and they'll do a performance center shield, which is a little bit more money and a little nicer, and you know, where they do some upgrades to it. I wish Ruger could do that, because I think the Ruger Max-9 with some performance center upgrades, I guess you could say, would be a really nice gun. Of course, it comes with the plate, so it's optics ready. I think you can even find models that come with an optic already with it, but I don't care anything about that myself. That's just not my cup of tea, really. But, you know, I was fairly impressed with the Ruger Security 380. In fact, I got rid of my Shield EZ after I got the Ruger 380, because I liked it that much. I did a 1,000-round review of it, and it did really well. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I like the Max-9, but it reminds me so much of the Ruger LCPs, and I've had some issues with those, both with my LCP2 as well as with that LCP Max that I had, that I think I almost expected that I would have some issues here, but I haven't. Not a single malfunction whatsoever, other than my malfunction of being able to pull this trigger reliably. But there it is, guys. The Ruger Max-9, I think it's a fairly decent little gun. So maybe it's something you want to check out. Now, guys, I appreciate you coming out. God bless you. Y'all take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.